Hey, welcome back to the Groucho Orloff Show. It's Sunday, December 18th, 2022. December 18th. Did I just say that? Whatever. Anyway, I'm moving bookshelves into this room. I'm going to have another one here and another one there and some over on the other side. And I'm organizing books that have been just put up haphazardly in different rooms and things. And so what I'm trying to do is get books that are related to comic books and things like that in here. I'm up here on the third floor. If you count the basement as a floor, this is, according to the elevator, this is the third floor. So, you know, these Marvel Masterworks books, of course, you know these that came out in the 80s, back when you could get a hardcover book for $29.95. So this is the one that reprints Spider-Man 1 through 10 and probably Amazing Fantasy. Yeah, Amazing Fantasy 2, 15 as well. All right, so let's put that there. This is a book that reprints. This has 4 volumes of Tarzan stories. It's a really nice looking edition. I'm not sure if I want that in here or not, but I'll make that decision. What do we have here? Okay, it's a Will Elder book, Chicken Fat. So Will Elder has always been one of my favorite artists. Will Elder, known. Damn, that's strange. There's a cartoon not by Will Elder, obviously clipped out of Playboy, that's in the book as a bookmark, and I didn't put that there. I wouldn't have cut up a magazine. That's not. So I assume I bought this used, and yes, I did. See, it was from Half Price Books, so the previous owner put that in there. But anyway, I'm going to have a Mad magazine shelf, and I think I'll put the Mad stuff on this shelf here. This is a 1970s edition, not in the best shape, but looks like I bought it at one time for $7.50 many years ago. This reprints Superman stories from the 30s up through the 1970s. This came out well before the Christopher Reeve movie, but most of the stories are in black and white, a few pages in color. Anyway, this is part of the 1970s nostalgia boom. And this book is from, I believe it's from Fireside Press. No, Bonanza Books, you know, and they had a whole bunch of these. It's got an introduction by E. Nelson Bridwell. Anyway, Bonanza Books in New York. I was afraid this book was missing there for about 6 months ago, and I found it. So let's put that there. This is a book from that same company from around the same time period. Oh, it's got a card inside of it. Here is your review copy of Wonder Woman, introduction by Gloria Steinem, interpretive essay by Dr. Phyllis Chesler. The price is $12.95. Publication date is December 7th, 1972. May we have 2 copies of your review, one for our files, one for the author. And it's Holt Reinhardt Winston asking for that. So whoever owned this must have worked for a newspaper. This one reprints the stuff in color. I have a feeling this might have been owned by Michael Price, who was a film critic and writer for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, because he sold a lot of his books to Half Price Books, and he was a comic book guy as well. So I'll put that up there with Superman. This is also from the same company, a little bit better shape. It's got a clear cover over the slipcover. This Batman one also has an introduction by E. Nelson Bridwell, editor and writer of the Batman comic strip. It says from the 30s to the 70s, and it's like the Superman one in that it's black and white with a little color section of covers and stuff. Anyway, these look really good on the shelf, and this is also from that same company, this Tarzan. Yes, and this confirms my suspicion because it has the little thing from the library of Michael H. Price. Michael Price also wrote comic book stories for some company. He wrote a story called The Prowl, a character called the Prowler, not the villain from Spider-Man, but some independent comic called The Prowler. He wrote that, and he was in a band, like a jug band. He was in a very much like an R. Crumb, the way that R. Crumb had the band that sounded like 1930s music. He was in a band like that. Anyway, so this is a story of Tarzan's youth by Bern Hogarth. So this belongs with these books. Here's a visual celebration of Mad Magazine art. So I'll put this down here with that Will Elder book as part of the Mad collection. What do we have here? This is one of the older books about comics. This is from the 1970s as well. A Smithsonian book of comic book comics. Anyway, so this is a... I've been moving bookshelves around, and we're about to... This has a... Oh, here's a timely. It's a Christmas story. Donald Duck Christmas story. These stories are reprinted straight from the comic book pages, which is a new... These may have been the first people that kind of did that. I think that Les Daniels Comics, History of Comics, which is spelled C-O-M-I-X, I think they did that too. But, you know, like those books I just showed you up here, they don't reprint directly like from a published comic. They seem to have the original art or stats of it. Anyway, now they have the ability with computers to just shoot right from a comic book and make a pretty good looking book like those PS Art books I was showing you last time. So anyway, I'll put this up here with the older books about comics. What do we have here? Oh, it's another Edgar Rice Burroughs books. This is one of those things that you would just get at, you know, when you go into a Barnes & Noble or a Walden Books. I guess Walden doesn't exist anymore. They would have these books for about $10, and they're meant for people to buy as gifts for, you know, it's like, I know my dad reads books, but I don't know anything about books. Here's some books. They're real cheap. They're only $10. I'll get that for his. I know he likes Tarzan, that shit, so I'll get this for Christmas. It's meant to be gifts, you know, and they're nice editions, but they're not really ever probably going to be worth anything. But this is cool in that it reprints the original J. Allen St. John illustrations from the original pulp stories by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and these are all his stories about Barsoom, or Mars. Barsoom is what the Martians call Mars. I'll put that with that Tarzan book, all right? Well, it's the Westerner. You know, I collect old yearbooks, high school yearbooks, any kind of yearbooks I can find. This is one of the things I do, especially stuff from the 50s and 60s, you know. So I go in this used bookstore in Arlington, Texas, and This is about 20 years ago. I remember my mother was still alive then, so yeah, it was a while back. And I see this book, and I open it. Yeah, so it's an old yearbook from 1955. You know, it's signed and everything. It's okay. And I see, oh, it's Lubbock High School, Lubbock, Texas, 1955. My first thought, what is your first thought? Lubbock, 1955. Is Buddy Holly in this yearbook? And he turns out to be in it. Now, he did not sign it. I think this was a younger, this guy named Max Hood must have been a younger guy. And I think Buddy Holly was like a junior. He was a freshman, so he probably didn't move in the same circles. But see, yeah, no, there's no Buddy Holly signature there. Piggly Wiggly, that's a chain of supermarkets, and at least in Texas, I don't know what other states it's in, but I've always loved that they have that cool looking pig as their character. But in here you can see Buddy Holly's girlfriend, members of his band, and Buddy Holly is in here, several pictures. Let's see if I can't find a picture of him. Of course, I now live up in the state where Buddy Holly died, and that was up north of here. And that happened in February, but it's almost Christmas, and the weather's starting to get brutal this upcoming week, where temperatures get into the single digits. That's starting to happen. We're supposed to get some snow on Tuesday, possibly, and possibly Wednesday and Thursday. And the temperature's not going above freezing between now and Christmas, which means it'll be a white Christmas. So that'll be neat, and I'll make sure I chronicle that on this show, because this show is just really like a diary. I like just kind of chronicle my life on this show, and so it's not, you know, if you're here just to hear about comic book news and what comics are hot and what you need to slab, that's not real. This isn't really the right channel, because I just talk about anything that comes to mind. I'm going to find the Buddy Holly picture. Don't worry about it. What class was he? You know, what I could do is look at the index in the back. That would, of course, it's hard to see. Oh, but they have it divided. But I might as well look through the pictures. Maybe he's class. It seems like he'd be class of 55. That's, yeah. Philip Morris. There's a guy named Philip Morris. I bet he got kidded a lot. There's a guy named George Jones, but it's not that George Jones. Oh, there's a really good show, George and Tammy on Showtime. You can see the first 2 episodes free on YouTube, because they're like drug dealers. They'll give you a couple episodes free, and then you got to subscribe to Showtime to see the rest of it. But it's really good. Right, Hatley, getting close. Oh, here we go. Oh, look at this. See, there's Buddy Holly. There, you see him there. What does it say? He's class of 55. So and his last name is spelled Holley. Musicians Guild 53, SOS 53, Choraliers 53, Westonaires 54, Wrangler 53, Vic number 95, 54, 55, VP. All right. Well, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Let me see if I can find anything else. Anyway, I don't keep this with the other yearbooks. I keep this kind of individual, because it, I mean, if Buddy Holly had autographed this, had signed it, this would be worth a lot of money, I assume. I mean, that's a very easy assumption to make. But, you know, how many yearbooks are out there with Buddy Holly? His senior yearbook, how many are out there? Oh, Fur's Cafeteria. A lot of my weight I put on at Fur's Cafeteria. They would have all you can eat buffets, and oh boy, was that good. Yeah, so you had, and of course, the Big Bopper who went down in the plane crash with Buddy Holly uh, wrote White Lightning, which was one of George Jones' hits, so that kind of ties in with that. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, but anyway, Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper, he was a DJ from Texas, and then you have Richie Valens, who was from Los Angeles. So they were not used to the extreme, brutal cold that they were inflicted with. See this drive-in restaurant? It's kind of like a Mills Drive-In in American Graffiti. Buddy Holly and his band would play on the roof of that place, and people would gather around in the parking lot and watch them play. Okay, so I'll put this right here. Okay, now looks like there's some Batman books. This was a book that came out in '89 to cash in on Tim Burton's movie. We just finished watching Tim Burton's Wednesday. He didn't direct every episode, but a lot of them. It's like the biggest, I think it's the second biggest show in Netflix's history. And as a huge, huge Addams Family fan, I have problems with it, but I watched it because my wife was enjoying it. The young lady that plays Wednesday, she's fine. It's just I have disagreements about playing her that extreme. I would have changed a lot of things. And the Addams Family, as it was portrayed from 1964 to 66, that family was not a dysfunctional family. It was just love and smiles and laughter all the time. They were just weird. In this, it's like nobody smiles. And anyway, it's Tim Burton. You know what Tim Burton does to things. You saw what he did to Dark Shadows and Planet of the Apes. It's just, but there is a cool dance scene where Wednesday dances to a Cramps song. Now, I've always loved the Cramps, especially the early period of the Cramps. They kind of got pretty weak towards the end. But I loved the Cramps. That was something that was one of the biggest things in my life there for a while. And I just loved their music. And of course, their song Goo Goo Muck, which is a cover of an old rockabilly song from the 50s. The actress actually choreographed her own dance where she dances to, and now it's the biggest thing on TikTok where all these girls and some guys are imitating her dance. Some to Goo Goo Muck, but Lady Gaga has tried to steal it away, and she took one of her songs and sped it up where it sounds like the Chipmunks, and she did the dance moves that this young lady, the actress, I forget her name, did in this Wednesday show. And so a lot of these people on TikTok are doing the dance to the Lady Gaga song, which is some. But anyway, she incorporates dance moves from Susie Sue and other goth people. It's really cool. And she even uses some of the dance moves that Lisa Loring did. If you ever saw the original episode where she's teaching Lurch to dance and she's doing these 60s sliding movements with her feet, it's really cool. Anyway, so let's make a Batman shelf right here. Okay, so this is an interesting little book. Some of the stories in the Batman television show, the 66 television show, were actually inspired by real stories that had appeared in the comic book. And so this reprints the stories that were the basis of actual episodes in the Adam West series. So it's called Batman the TV Stories. This is another book that came out to cash in on the '89 Tim Burton Batman, and it was like everyone knew that was going to be a big deal, and everyone was excited about the trailer, and so this book came out, and was on the shelf. There's another one called Batman and Me that Bob Kane wrote about how he single-handedly created. I wonder, I don't know. He was still alive then, basking in the glory of stuff that he really didn't create. That really. Oh, here's another one of those. Like I've told you before, these Bonanza books, that they were really cashing in on the nostalgia craze in the 70s. There were two nostalgia crazes in the 70s. And see, these would be in the bookstores, and, if... Okay. This is aimed at people about my age now. I'm in my 50s. This is aimed at people in their 50s in the mid-1970s, early 1970s. So if you were about 10 during the Depression and you were into this comic strip or into Superman or Batman or whatever, in the 40s, when you were a teenager, these books came out, and people were in their 50s were nostalgic for, like I'm nostalgic for the 70s, that kind of thing. Or the 60s, really, even though I was born in 65. 60s and 50s are more what I like. Anyway, this is a great comic strip, not remembered as much today, but so that was one of the nostalgia waves in the 70s was for the 30s. And there was a little bit of that in the late 60s when Bonnie and Clyde came out. But the other nostalgia wave in the 70s was for the 50s, which was kicked off by American Graffiti, and then, of course, Happy Days and all that stuff. All right, so I'm putting this up with the Bonanza books. Here's a softcover collection of The Invaders. This is, what is this? Well, this starts with Invaders 35. I'll put you down there. Here's I found this in an antique mall back in the old country in Texas, and it collects all the Howard the Duck stories. It doesn't collect the magazine stories. It goes up through the 70s. And there's the first appearance of Kiss was actually in Howard the Duck. Boy, Gene Simmons sure is coming across like a real ass. I mean, I guess he always has been an ass, but I just refused to believe it. And he's really coming across as an ass now, talking about things that we can't talk about here on YouTube. All right, so I'm going to get some more books from the other room to put in here, and I'll be right back. Well, so what's been going on? I haven't done a show in a week. I've been busy, and about 4 o'clock today, Charlton66 is going to call me. He's been under the weather, but it'd be nice to talk to him. Here's reprints of the first issues of Fantastic Four going up through the first issue going through I can't even see. Anyway, the first of the Fantastic Four. So I'll put that here. So that's Marvel Masterworks number 2. And then this afternoon, my wife and I watched a couple of Blind Dead movies because I'm doing a painting for John Gores, and he's commissioned me. He's already sent me the money, and a little study of, kind of what he'd like to see. A little painting that was just about as good as I could do of The Blind Dead, anyway. So I was looking at the first two movies again because I don't think I've watched them in a long time, just to give myself an idea, a good idea for doing an acrylic painting for him. Yeah, the Blind Dead movies are Spanish, Portuguese, and maybe a little bit German mainly a Spanish production. They're shot in Spain, I think, or maybe partly Portugal. I don't know, but they're about the Knights Templar that started worshiping Baphomet or Satan or something, and they had to be put to death. And the first movie, they say they were the king of Spain, put them up and the birds pecked out their eyes. The second movie, they show they burn their eyes out. Anyway, they come back from the dead, but they're blind, They listen for noise. If you make any noise, then these zombie monk type guys come after you with swords. But I don't think I've watched really those movies since the 80s when, Commander USA would show them on Saturday afternoons on the USA Network. Okay, X-Men. But they're available for free on YouTube. We watched the first one on Vudu and the second one on YouTube. Okay, so this is volume 3. It reprints the early X-Men issues. Avengers 1 through 10 is volume 4. These are very common things. You used to be able to get these at half-price books really cheap. I don't know what they're worth now. Who knows? Okay. Now, volume 5 reprints 11 through 20 of Spider-Man. Volume 6 reprints 11 through 20 of the Fantastic Four. Volume 7 reprints 11 through 21 of the X-Men. They're a lot easier to read than the giant omnibus editions because they're gigantic. But the omnibus editions at least reprints the letter pages and I think maybe the bullpen pages. But these are all, color. Hopefully, I think I've heard that there's some people complain about coloring changes from the original comics, that sometimes they color them a little differently. This reprints 41 through 50 of Fantastic Four. We're already up to volume 35 here, so there's a little bit of a jump here. Okay, here's volume 13. Oh, there's the Fantastic Four annual #1 that I got from Eric Breen's store. I think Comic Book World, isn't that what it's called? Yeah, that was a wonderful highlight of my life. Yeah, see, the coloring, although it kind of looks cool, that's just doesn't quite look like, I don't know exactly. 1960s coloring, anyway, 13. Okay. This is volume 11 that reprints the beginning of the new X-Men. So we'll put that there. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the snow coming up here in the next few days, but it's going to be brutally cold. We're going to have some plumbers coming out Tuesday. We've got this problem where there's really four floors in this house, and I noticed, well, I'll show you later if I have time, but anyway, there's some kind of leak in the main pipe coming down where any water run on the 4th floor or the 3rd floor, which is what I'm on now, will start creating a problem behind the wall in the 2nd floor, because this pipe is probably over 100 years old. So they're going to have to replace part of that pipe with something plastic, PVC, whatever. So I'm sure that's going to be a huge expense. But anyway. So anyway, my wife and I have set up quarters in the top floor. Well, now that we can't really use that restroom because it creates a problem down below. So now we've moved into the main level. And I have, I sleep on a couch. My wife's on an inflatable mattress there on the main level. And so, because we have access to a working restroom there. But anyway, this is volume 9. It's reprints the Avengers 11 through 20. Okay, and here's a Hulk that reprints Hulk 1 through 6. And this is volume 8. Oh, and here's, speaking of the Addams Family, here's a book about the Addams Family, the Addams Chronicles. This is, if you're an Addams Family fan, I'm a huge, I can't even begin to tell you how much I love the Addams Family. Here's an invitation from Carolyn Jones to her Halloween party back in 1965. If you don't have this book, you need to get this book. I'm sure it's not expensive. I'll put it down here on that Batman shelf. And then, let me go grab another armload of books. Oh, here's some here. I don't have to go far. What do we have here? Well, it's shit. Here's Dinosaur Shaman. This is the wonderful Mark Schultz. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. It's what happened to Mark Schultz? Why isn't he still in it was like Wally Wood came back to life there for a while. I don't know where he's at now, but he was great there for a while. I'll put that down here. Here's Alice in Comic Land from Craig Yo's company. This reprints comic book stories that are influenced by Alice in Wonderland. There's a Superman story, all kinds of stuff. I'll put you up there. Yeah, I think so. Okay, let me go grab some books. Okay. Michael O'Donoghue from National Lampoon fame, and later he was one of the writers on Saturday Night Live in the early days. He was known as Mr. Mike. He wrote, this is Michael O'Donoghue and Frank Springer, Phoebe Zeitgeist. The Adventures of Phoebe Zeitgeist. It's basically somewhere between, I would say it's a combination of Barbarella and Little Annie Fanny. It's kind of a dirty comic book, but with anyway. I don't know what to tell you, but I'll put it up here next to that. That looks good next to that book. I'll move that over here. Okay. Now this is cool. Fandom's Finest Comics. These are comics put out by fans in the 60s, mostly the 60s, I think. So some of them would later become big names in the industry, and some of them are just big names in fandom. Like this is from Star-Studded Comics, which was that's Bill Joe White. He was a big in comic fandom in the 60s. Yeah, so let's put that up here. Taint the Meat. It's the Humanity. This is Jack Davis. Has stories from EC by Jack Davis. Put that here. Justice League of America, The Wedding of the Atom. And Gene Loring. So this is 1970s Justice League comics reprinted. I'll put that there. I'm trying to remember something here. Okay, this is the Shadow, the 5 classic tales of the original Dark Avenger by the legendary team of O'Neill and Kaluta, represented for the first time in full process color, plus an all-new story written and illustrated by Kaluta. So there's one new story, and this is mostly the 70s stories, and they're promoting how cool it is that they're recolored. Yeah, the coloring's nice. Yeah. Anyway, this was another part of a nostalgia wave of the 70s. It wasn't just these Bonanza Press books. Marvel put out The Shadow, and they were doing the Edgar Rice Burroughs stories, and DC put out The Shadow, and Marvel did Doc Savage, and there was the Doc Savage movie that was meant to be part of that nostalgia. It just didn't work out. That didn't take off. But it was well intentioned. It was a lot. A lot of the guys working in the comic industry kind of tried to bring back the stuff from their youth, and some worked more than others. But anyway, I'll put that down with DC. All right, what do we have here? From Dark Horse, they're doing an archive of Nemesis. This was a $60 book when it came out. I know I didn't pay $60. I would get a lot of this stuff at half-price books, probably for about $10 to $12 when I could find them. Put that down here as well. Okay, now we've got an early Mad hardcover book, Mad for Keeps. This I think was late 50s, so it has really great stories in it. It's not in the best of shape, at least the slip cover isn't. Put that with my Mad books. Here's another kind of early Mad hardcover book. This is called The Ridiculously Expensive Mad. It looks like I paid $15 for it in October of 1990. So this is the inside flap of a costly item called a dust jacket. It's supposed to keep the book from getting dusty. It cost $9.95 when it came out. But it reprints stuff in color and black and white. It even has like a little insert of these paperback covers. So yeah, they went pretty much all out on that book. So I'll put that there. This is after Don Martin left Mad. Charlton 66 is calling. I'll have to call him back. He said around 4. I forgot he's on a different time zone. So 4 o'clock. I was thinking he meant 4 o'clock my time, and I'd have enough time to do a show. Oh shit. Well, maybe I won't do a full show. This is the Mad Morality or the Ten Commandments Revisited. It's by a guy that's a professor of religion, and it uses Mad stuff and talks about the morality that's, I guess, taught by Mad. This was kind of a trend in the 70s. They would take pop culture phenomena and show how it teaches Christianity in a way, even if it's unintentionally. When Star Wars came out, I remember they had a paperback that came out called The Force of Star Wars, and it was all about the Christian stuff you could pull out of Star Wars. And they did that with some other things too, some other intellectual properties or something. I don't remember what. Maybe did they do a religious book on Star Trek or something? I kind of doubt they did it on James Bond. That's hard to do. Okay, here's a more recent book, Mad About Superheroes. It's got a bunch of superhero reprints. Put that in there. Here's a There's a book that reprints Wally Wood in Mad. So I'll put that next to the Will Elder book for sure. Okay, let's grab another armload of books. Damn it. When Captain America the Winter Soldier came out, I was just amazed by it. And I wasn't buying new comics because I thought they all sucked. And I thought, well, if this movie represents the comics that are coming out now, maybe I should try some of these new comics. And I think that was still at a time before things had gotten as extreme as they are now with all the woke shit. So I went to Half Price Books and picked up an armload of these books, reprinting more recent Captain America stories that I think had been the inspiration for the Winter Soldier movie. And now I realize, after having met Eric Breen, and on the Four Color Fossils show, and he's explained that Ed Brubaker is like the greatest writer in comics today, and I had picked these up before I met Eric Breen, so now I realize, okay, well, this Ed Brubaker must be the guy that did these stories that were. It's really a shame. That was so great. How do you go from that to these shitty, awful Marvel movies today? I mean, it's just Disney has destroyed everything they've touched. Okay, so I'll put this down here at the bottom. Here's another one. And of course, this one is also Ed Brubaker with an Alex Ross cover. I'm not sure the order that these things are supposed to go on, but yeah, I picked up a ton of these. This one is not Ed Brubaker. I just was like, just picked up a bunch of these. Some of them might be better than others. This one, yeah, sometimes you can't get the sticker off. This was less than $8. I'll put all the Captain America stuff down here. $9.99. See how they fool you into it's not at least it's not $10. Come on, Half Price Books. Just put the $10 price tag on it. There's another Ed Brubaker book. And these may all reprint the same stories, just in different editions for all I know. Maybe someone down below will rate these and tell me which ones I should read first. I think I read a few of them. I just haven't had a chance. I've got tons of books I haven't read yet. So I really can't justify that much going out and buying new stuff. That's a cool illustration on the back. Okay, this is Red, White, and Blue, Captain America. All right, we're back to some Marvel Masterworks. This reprints Thor 131 to 140. And it's number 69 of the Marvel Masterworks series. Now here is volume 43 that reprints Golden Age Captain America. And that's cool. Really cool. And they've got, they do it right. I don't think they reprint ads though. But, or do they? Anyway, like, I'll never be able to afford these original comics. This is the only way I'll be able to see them. Doctor Strange, Volume 23. Looks like it's Strange Tales. The early... Oh, he's trying to call back. Shit. Okay, Volume 23. I wish I could psychically communicate with Charlton66. I will call you in about 20 minutes. Volume 18, early Thor stories, Journey into Mystery. This is Journey into Mystery 83 through 100. This is Volume 18. Spider-Man issues 31 through 40, which is Volume 16 of Marvel Masterworks. Goes there. Here's Tales of Suspense 59 through 81, reprinting just the Captain America stories, the Iron Man. It will be in a different volume. So that's volume 14. Oh, here's a book from back when Blondie was popular by Lester Bangs. He's a pretty famous guy himself. So anyway, this is kind of a really cool time capsule. Let me put that next to the Addams Family book. Not really comic book related, but I mean, Addams Family kind of is comic related in that it started as a cartoon and a magazine. Okay, Marvel Masterworks with a different look. And I don't think they number the same here. This reprints X-Men 22 through 31, but I don't think they still... I think after a while they stopped numbering the books the same way. So I'll put this, it's like a second series. I'll put that there. All right, let me grab some more books. We're at 48 minutes. These bookshelves had been in the comic book room, and I started putting short boxes in front of the bookcases, which meant I couldn't have access to the books, and that made no sense. So I decided to move these bookcases in here, and then in the other room, will be just comic books. All right, The Art of Jack Davis. Okay, this will go next to the Will Elder and Wally Wood books. Okay, this is Rocket Blast and the Comic Collector Special Edgar Rice Burroughs issue. This is actually a magazine, but for all intents and purposes, it looks like a book. It's I guess it's Rocket, yeah. They started, I guess, this this Rocket Blast comic collector over, and this is issue 2. So, cool illustrations. That'll go up here. There. Okay. Now, these are Dirty Comics. These are probably printed in the... when did they do that? I imagine they sold these. I don't know where they sold these. It says by Donald H. Gilmore, PhD. Yeah, right. 1971. Printed on cheap paper. These... try to cover it up. This is like Wimpy, you know, from Popeye. All the comic book characters would... they were basically bootleg comic books, and they were... I'll hold it away from... Like, here's Andy Gump. And a lot of Andy Gump. This is volume 1, so it has the early stuff. These were like little booklets, you know, little booklets, tiny booklets, like the Jack Chick religious tracts that you would sometimes encounter. But these were dirty comics. They came out in the 1930s. They had 8 pages. So they either called them 8-pagers or they called them Tijuana Bibles, because some people thought they were printed in Mexico. So they call them Tijuana Bibles. I'm going to put it up here on the top shelf. They've been reprinted in different formats over the years, but, you know, sometimes in the men's magazines, those old men's magazines from the 60s and 70s, there'll be a little ad and say, comics, the kind men like, you know, and then you could go buy them there. Where you bought them in the 1930s, I don't know. It seems like this would be illegal to sell. Here's a Dick Tracy one. It would have been illegal. There's Blondie. They wouldn't have been. They had to have been sold under the counter, like in maybe a liquor store or something. But here's volume 3. And they have they do Batman, Superman, Flash Gordon. I mean, it's like it's really, you know, when Harvey Kurtzman started Mad in the early 50s, it was kind of like he was doing this, but just took 98% of the dirtiness out of it. But it's, you know, when they were done right, the artist actually mimicked the style of the original artist really well, but a lot of times they were kind of crudely drawn. Here's volume 4. Okay, here's volume 4. The Popeye ones are all, here's Flash Gordon. The Popeye ones are really good, really funny. Because it's just Popeye is something that's so well known still today to at least our generation. Here's Snuffy Smith. Okay, so volume 4. Oh, another copy of volume 4. What do we have here? Oh, my prized book about Marie Severin, one of my favorite artists of all time. That will go right here. Okay. Here's The All-Star Companion by Roy Thomas. This is put out by Tomorrow's Publications. I think it's one of the first books they put out. So that's basically from the Alter Ego Company and courtesy of Roy Thomas. This is a really good book, The Golden Age of Comic Fandom by Bill Shelley. Really good stuff. We'll put that there. And this was given to me by a teacher I worked with back in Fort Worth. She said that she had this book, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, and it was actually autographed by Stan Lee, and she'd seen Stan Lee autograph it, but she wasn't, it really was not autographed. She thought it was. It's just like, the signatures are printed in there, you know. I think she genuinely believed it. She wasn't trying to pull my chain, but she gave it to me. She didn't have any use for it. So let's put that down there. Oh, Fearless Fosdick. This was a comic strip within a comic strip. This was a parody of Dick Tracy. In the Little Abner comic strip, his idol was Fearless Fosdick. And you can see how he is a parody of Dick Tracy, but he was a fumble butt. Let's see, and he would always say there's Little Abner reading the comic strip pages, and he would have weird looking villains just like Dick Tracy, but see when Dick Tracy comic strip was really violent and people would get shot through the head, but you know, when in Fearless Fosdick, like the whole crowds of people around would get shot through the head because Fearless Fosdick would make a mistake or something. It's Fearless Fosdick is to Dick Tracy what Maxwell Smart is to James Bond, basically. And then at some point in the 40s or 50s, they started using Fearless Fosdick as the spokesperson for Wild Root Cream Oil back in the days when guys slicked their hair back. So, where shall I put you? I think I'll put you right here. Oh, and this is a Little Abner book I got in the late 70s. You know, there was a certain point where, you know, you come to the realization that Santa Claus isn't real, so you pretty much just tell, you're in a bookstore and you tell your mom, you know, hey, this is a book I want for Christmas, and she just buys it there, and it's like there's no real, you kind of know what you're getting for Christmas, but it's still exciting on Christmas morning. When I see this book, I still think Christmas morning, circa maybe 78. And one thing that was cool is when I was in 6th grade, the teacher, my teacher, I think her name was Miss Davis or something, I remember her telling another teacher that I drew like Al Cap, and I thought, boy, that's a real compliment for someone to be saying I draw like Al Cap, because he's great. And when he wasn't drawing his comic strip, he would get ghost artists that were fantastic. Like Frank Frazetta drew it for a while in the 50s. And so, you know, Little Abner, yeah, this is, wow, those are great memories. Same Christmas when I got my Starbird, the spaceship, you know, and what else did I get? That was a nice, magical Christmas. All right. Here's another Craig Yo book reprinting Jetta, which was from Archie Comics, and it was like a space age Jetsons kind of futuristic girl. It's kind of like Archie in the future, basically, you know, with rocket ships and stuff. Archie meets Flash Gordon, Jetta, by Dan DeCarlo. But where should I put this? I think here, the top shelf. Okay, this book is not... Okay, this is a pictorial history of striptease. It's not a... it's not a comic book related book, so I will put this... I'll put this next to the Blondie book for some reason. That seems appropriate. Horrifyingly Mad. This is a recent Mad coffee table book reprinting parodies of horror. Like here's Rosemary's Baby and stuff like that. I'll put that here on the Mad shelf. Whoa! Here's some more Mad books coming up. Mad's big book of Spy vs. Spy. Not in very good shape, but it's still readable. We'll put that next to the Don Martin book. Oh, and Al Jaffe. Is he still alive? I hope so. I think he was like the very last of the Mad usual gang of idiots to survive. No, Sergio Aragonés is still alive. But I'm trying to remember if Al Jaffe passed away recently. It seems like if he had, it would have made a bigger impact on me and I would have remembered it more. This is how I knew. Look at this parody of National Enquirer. I knew from this Mad Magazine parody that National Enquirer back in the 60s had been a really gory thing, you know, with, lots of murder. And because the National Enquirer in the 70s that my mother would buy was not as extreme. But when I saw this parody from the '60s, I realized, oh, National Enquirer was a real insanely. And then later I got some copies from the '60s from 14 Records in Dallas. He wound up with a stash somehow from somewhere of 1960s National Enquirers, and yeah, it was a real gory newspaper in those days. Okay, so this Al Jaffe book goes next to Jack Davis. All right, Mad About the '60s. Let's put that here. So this is probably going to be, yes, Mad About the '50s. Goes here. I was just thinking the other day of how it used to be, because it's Christmas, I was thinking it used to be Christmas like every month. Because whenever I'd go into a store, the first thing I would do is I'd go to the newsstand looking for a new issue of Mad or Cracked. And when I'd see a new issue of Mad, it was just like Christmas. Looking at the cover, here's another one of those books. This reprints Will Elder. There's his parody of Wonder Woman. It was Woman Wonder. His parodies of King Kong. He's one of the top guys. I like art that's like that. I like Marie Severin. I like C.C. Beck. I like. I don't like necessarily total realism. I like it Ramona Fredone. I like it to be comic-y. I'll put that next to the Wally Wood. All right. So at this point, let me grab a few more books and start filling up. We need to start filling these shelves up. God damn it. Here's a Gondwanaland book that reprints the early issues of Famous Monsters. It was sent to me by Charlton 66. So I'll put that here. So there won't be any more Gondwanaland books from printed by Amazon. He's now using Barnes and Noble. Here's this is reprints of the Warren Vampirella stories. So I'll put the Vampirella stuff up here. Here's another one that reprints Warren Vampirella, but with a Dave Stevens cover and this great back cover. Okay, so that goes there. There's another Dave Stevens cover. This Vampirella special came out during the Warren days. Those were reprinted by the companies that acquired the Warren stories after Warren went out of publication. But this came out during the run, and it reprints the stories in color that originally were black and white. So it's really neat, and they're all Jose Gonzalez. He went by Pepe Gonzalez. He's really the Vampirella artist. Here's Lawn of 1,000 Faces. This is, I think this is autographed by Forrest J. Ackerman. Yeah. Sincerely, Kenneth from Forest Ackerman, warmest wishes. Yeah, my friend Tom Ranoni brought this back from Hollywood, autographed by Forrest J. Ackerman. Shit. And, you know, he came back from Hollywood, you know, pretty much burnt out and didn't have much good to say about hardly anyone in Hollywood. But when asked, you know, who are the really cool people in Hollywood that he had met? Well, you know, the people that he liked, people that he worked with, he said good things about. He liked that this guy that did the special effects for what was his name? I don't remember his name, but he did the special effects for The Walking Dead, and I think he's doing a Creep Show now, the new Creep Show TV series. He really liked that guy, and you know, he was a good friend of, you know, some musicians like Lemmy from Motorhead and Lux from the Cramps, but when asked about, you know, actual Hollywood movie stars, you know, who I mean, he liked Keanu Reeves. He saved Keanu Reeves' life once from the LA riots. I've told that story before. If you want me to tell it again, but anyway, he said that, believe it or not, Leonardo DiCaprio was a good guy. Because that's hard to believe, because he's come across as a real kind of idiot lately. It seems like with some things he said. But you know, when asked, you know, who was actually the coolest person you met in Hollywood, he said hands down it was Rose McGowan. She was the most real person, and ironically now she's the one that's come out against Hollywood and hates Hollywood, much like my friend Tom felt when he left there. Anyway, my wife sent her, I think 2 days ago, like a message on Twitter, and she responded immediately, and they've been talking back and forth, my wife and Rose McGowan. I was like, wow, that would be cool if she came and visited us. I think she lives in Germany. But anyway, that's cool. Rose McGowan. Maybe I can get her to subscribe to this channel. Here's the amazing Herschel Gordon Lewis. This is all about Herschel Gordon Lewis, the original guy that put gore in Hollywood movies. Is this autographed? No. This is a poster for 2000 Maniacs right there. Got his autograph on it. Let's put this next to Lon Chaney. Popeye, the First 50 Years. Yes, indeed. This is printed in color, or most of it. Yeah, that's cool. Let's put that up here. I'm going to put it next to the little Abner book. Okay. This is a real cheap book that was put out to cash in on the second wave of Batmania. The original Batmania wave was 1966, but then in 1989 there was a huge wave of Batman. People going nuts about Batman, and this came out to cash in on that. So I'll put that with the Batman books here on this shelf. There's the book, The Great Women Cartoonist, by Trina Robbins. Yeah, she was an underground artist, but was very much a champion for the history of female artists in comic books. I'll put that up there. This is Batman animated. It's by Paul Dini and Chip Kidd. This is a wonderful book. That series was so great. I mean, and I'll put that down here with the Batman stuff. Right up there with Johnny Quest is the greatest of that form. Okay. This is a book sent by Charlton 66, and it's written by Michael Price, the guy that I knew in Fort Worth. Okay, it's weird. Charlton 66, who just called me while I was filming this show, sent me this book written by Michael Price, and I was just showing you books that were owned by Michael Price from his actual library here. So I would always wind up with books from Michael Price because he had similar tastes to mine. And then there'd be another guy that I would always find his books in half-price books, but for a sadder reason, because he had committed suicide. I never met that guy, but a lot of the people I knew that had lived in Arlington longer than me knew him well, and he had really the first not comic store, but he had a section in an old bookstore that used to be part of the downtown Main Street that they tore all down. They tore all that down, tore all their history down in that town. But he was, everyone said he was a great guy. He was really into movie posters and comic books, but he was, he committed suicide just like Ian Curtis of Joy Division. He was really into Joy Division. I'm not going to say Joy Division caused him to commit suicide. That would be ridiculous. I don't know. I never met the guy. But anyway, I would just keep finding books with his name, stamped in them. And it was because I guess they had liquidated his collection into half-price books. And I'm drawing a blank on his name now because my mind doesn't work. It's been a rough week, man. It's been a rough week. My wife has 2 hernias and has to have surgery. But we went to the doctor a few days ago, and the doctor said, you really, right now it's too high risk. You've got to lose weight first. And she's going to be set up on a diet with a dietitian and physical, anyway, she's going on a diet. And I need to lose weight too. I mean, look at this fucking, my face is expanding like, if you freeze frame and scanners when the guy's head's exploding, I'm like a couple of frames as the head's as the balloon's about to go as the head explodes. Anyway, so I've already stopped drinking soft drinks. I keep trying to stop. If it's that hard to stop drinking Dr. Pepper, I have to salute those of you that have stopped smoking or I guess whatever drugs. I imagine that's more addictive than Coca-Cola, than soda pop. But I don't know. Caffeine, that's a hell of a drug. They don't teach you that in school. Here's one of these very lightweight book. It's reprinted on sheet paper in black and white. These essential books. This is a way to read stuff. I didn't think I had any in this shelf, but anyway. And here's Essential Fantastic Four Volume 3. I think I got this stuff in all these different formats. But anyway, here's Essential Conan Volume 1. So yeah, this starts with Barry Smith. Oh, it's all, no, and it goes a little bit past Barry Smith. All right, wonderful. This is, I have this in the masterwork format, but this is the black and white reprints of early X-Men. But, the thing about this is it has Bruce Timm, from the Batman animated series doing so I don't know. So I got stuff duplicated in many forms, it looks like. And then here's a Marvel Masterworks, but it's in soft cover of All Winners. Sometimes you can't find the stuff. You buy it when you can find it, and I didn't find a hardcover version of this. This reprints 4 issues, 5 through 8 of All Winners, World War II era. But I'll set that here. Okay, and then we have some R. Crumb books. He just lost his wife, unfortunately. I think last week or the week before. I never really liked her art, but, that doesn't mean I can't be sad that she's passed away. This is volume 8. He hated the Ralph Bakshi Fritz the Cat movie so much that he immediately had Fritz the Cat killed off right after the movie came out. He let Ralph Bakshi do it out of pity because the guy seemed so pathetic and was like near tears, saying, you know, it'll destroy my life if I can't make this Fritz the Cat movie. And so he said, go ahead, do it. Volume 6. So, Volume 5. The Complete Crumb Comics. Volume 4. Volume 3. There's a cartoon. Oh, there's somebody on archive.org that has all the Marvel superheroes cartoons, and they look great, but I can't beam it from archive.org on my phone to the television where I can record it. So I'm just going to have to buy DVDs, bootleg DVDs from eBay from some, or actually there's someone that is selling it on Blu-ray now, the bootlegs of the Marvel Superheroes 66 cartoons. It's just like Disney will never release that stuff. It's, they never will. Okay, Volume 2. But anyway, the same company, Grand Tree Lawrence, that did the Marvel Superheroes 66 cartoons, and then the next year did the Spider-Man cartoon for ABC, which was in a different animation style. That was a Canadian cartoon studio, right? And Ralph Bakshi started working for them, you know, I think maybe around the time the second season started of Spider-Man. And it changed the look of it. Well, anyway, there's another cartoon that you never hear about, and you can see them all on YouTube, and it's really great. It's called Rocket Robin Hood, and it's the descendants of Robin Hood and his merry men in the future. But the first episodes are, at least the first season, look just like the Marvel Superheroes cartoons. I mean, they really look like comic books come to life, and the music's cool, and the science fiction art design, you know, I think they're cool. But Ralph Bakshi took over it, started to look a little more realistic, and with the psychedelic clouds and stuff in the background. I didn't like it quite as much. But look up Rocket Robin Hood and see if you don't enjoy it. Tell me what you think down in the comments if you agree with me. This is reprints All Winners 9 through 14. It's not part of the numbering. It looks like a new numbering, Volume 3. So let me put that down here with the other All Winners book. Oh, here's another All Winners. This is Volume 2. This must be the complete All Winners are done. It still has the Marvel Masterworks thing, but okay, here's a book, Marvel Visionaries. It's all about Jack Kirby. And these books with these different artists look good on a shelf next to each other. So it's a bunch of color reprints, Jack Kirby stories. It's pretty neat. Put that there. All right, I'll go get some more books. We're at an hour and 17 minutes. This thing will end soon, and then I will call Charlton. And I'll try to do another episode of this pretty soon, because I got to get these books in here. Tomorrow, it's a good chance it'll snow, so I'll probably do a show to show the snow, and then I'll move up here, because I can't be in the snow very long, because it's like ridiculously cold. These are reprints of the Gold Key Dark Shadows comics. Oh, that's cool. Look at this foreign, maybe Spanish poster for Dark Shadows Must be, House of Dark Shadows. Okay, I guess I'll put that here. Here is Alter Ego, the Comic Book Artist Collection. So yeah, there's great stuff in here. Great stuff in here. Unbelievably great stuff. Just trust me, you need to buy that immediately. That goes with there. It goes there. This is an older book. You don't see this very often. The EC Comics story. It's very thin. But when did this come out? Man, I forgot I even owned this. I forgot this even existed. It's by James Van Hise. It came out in 1987. Yeah. I'll put that down here with the Mad. Women in the Comics. This is a nice book. This is an older book, 70s. Where was the one I just had with... oh, right here. They'll go right. Women in the Comics goes next to the great women cartoonist. This is an older 70s book, The Golden Age of Comic Books. It's not a book you read. It just covers. In fact, this book could be taken apart and framed, but the cover reproduction's not really stellar. But it's one of those older books. I'll put it right here as cushion. Here's another one of these books, Fandom's Finest Comics, Volume 2. This is fan-made comics from the 60s. That goes, okay, right here. Marvel Visionaries, Roy Thomas. Again, it's all color reproductions. It's wonderful. I need to start reading this stuff, man. What am I thinking? I sit around mooning about, I can't buy comic books because there's no comic stores near me. And I've got all these comics and these books that I should be sitting in a chair with a pipe. So they don't smoke a pipe, but it's a cool... I kind of wish I could smoke a pipe or cigars and it would be healthy because it looks so cool. You know, Clint Eastwood looks so cool with that cigar as the man with no name. If it was just something that was healthy, that would be, because I love the smell of it. I hate the smell of cigarettes, though. Oh, well. John Buscema, Marvel Visionaries. All this wonderful John Buscema art. Here's a book, Marvel Monsters. Does it reprint the Gratu, the giant ant story in it? Oh, it's actually... Oh, those pages are fused together. Oh, that's not good. So, Fin Fang Foom. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, here's another All Winners book. Oh, this one's volume 1. So this goes in front of 2 and 3. Here's a big fancy version of Days of Future Past. I'll tell you, man, one of the greatest superhero scenes in movie history has to be when Quicksilver in the Days of Future Past movie just has so much fun, at leisurely stopping or moving the bullets out of the path of the policemen when they're going into the Washington D.C. whatever building that is to get Magneto. That was so great because it shows the joy of being a superhero and how much fun it is, and the Jim Croce song playing over it. I thought that was just such a great scene. We'll put that down. some more books. Can't believe we're going long today. It's usually the camera will shut off right about now. Okay. It's going to look like a real library here before long. Okay, Savage Sword of Conan, Volume 4. These big phone book style things. Where will I put this? Oh, down here. Yes, indeed. Here's Savage Sword of Conan, Volume 10. And you're not losing anything in these editions because it's basically the same type paper Savage Sword of Conan was printed on, and it's in black and white just like it was, so you're not losing the color, and it's just printed slightly smaller. It's actually put out by Dark Horse because at the time Dark Horse had the rights to Conan, and so I guess they got all the stuff that Marvel had done, they had rights to reprint it. Because I guess the Robert E. Howard estate owned everything that Marvel did, including any changes to their character. Because Red Sonja, as Robert E. Howard's creation, is really nothing like what Roy Thomas changed her into with the chainmail and everything. She was, I think, a Russian 18th century character. Red Sonja was, but all the changes that Roy Thomas made for Marvel became the property of Robert E. Howard, and then when they moved to what is it, Dynamite now, it still looks like the Marvel version. This is a book about sirens, which really should be downstairs in the mythology section, so I'll put that down there. This is some Ultimate X-Men and Ultimate Spider-Man, which I didn't think I'd like back in the 90s when they were putting this out. And I gave it a try, and I kind of enjoyed it because once I realized, okay, they're not replacing the beloved characters I grew up with. This is a separate universe, and it's just a different way of looking at things. I was open-minded enough to accept it. This is Strange Tales. This is a humorously done book, and somehow I wound up with 2 copies of it. So I'll put that there. And it looks like everyone told me I should try this Keanu Reeves comic book, and I tried it, Berserker, and I still haven't read it. People tell me it's great, though. Let's see if it ever actually gets made into a movie. Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is great color reproductions. It's the color, I'm not sure. The color looks like it's been, it's not exactly, it'll be all right. Where do I put it, though? Oh, maybe here. Here's reproductions of, who did this coloring? It's reproductions of Tales of Asgard, the Jack Kirby Stan Lee stories. But someone has colored it in a very modern way where it almost just, I probably could get used to it, but it doesn't look right. I don't know. I don't like things to change. The colorist is Matt Milla. So I don't know. Whatever you think of 19